Hello twin flames, welcome to my channel and welcome to your daily energy check. I hope you guys are doing great. This will be our classic check-in. We'll see what the energies are like for the feminine masculine collective. What is the additional question on the journey that we need to get more information on, and then finally we'll see how the twins see the connection itself at the time with their twin flame. Now this is specifically with the twin, meaning that there could be a scenario where maybe, let's say, divine masculine is in a karmic relationship, but the feminine is in their life, and this is how they're seeing this specific connection with the feminine, you know? So I think I had a couple of questions about that recently, so I just wanted to clarify that. And I've now added a booking link in the description box where you can book your discovery session with me. This is usually for coaching, but I actually allow that for the tarot as well, for personal readings. If you have questions on the format or you have like very custom request, it is not covered in my online shop on my website where you can actually purchase a reading. Like, we can definitely sort it out in that session. So if especially if you like the actual conversation, no, some people prefer email, and that's usually what I'm asking to do, but the call is also available. At this time, whichever services you're trying to book or to buy, or whatever questions you have, this is your opportunity. So definitely it's a very convenient Calendly tool where it also adjusts based on your time zone, like all these great things. It sends you reminders, email notifications with the links, everything. So please head to that link and book your session. With all that said, we'll start a reading with a quick oracle message. And today I've got the Spirit Junkie Oracle from Gabby Bernstein. Let's see. Let's see what we have for Divine Feminines first. And those are in the form of affirmations for those who are new to the channel. And a quick reminder that the May horoscopes are now all out on my Mindful Bamboo channel. So you can head over there and get your latest messages for love and for career and workspace, and also general guidance. It has messages from your person. And what I recommend doing, because those messages are for sun, moon, and rising of that zodiac sign, to check 3 readings for your sun, moon, and rising sign, or obviously whichever the combination is. Some people have all 3 of those positions in the same sign. Happens. But what I mean by that is that usually you get 3 readings and they give you a more well-rounded message, because let's face it, these are still collective readings, so they can't cover like very much your specific scenario. Sometimes it just like kind of hits right into your scenario, but sometimes it may feel like it's a little abstract and you're not sure how to interpret it for yourself. So having 3 messages will help you big time with that. Okay, let's see what we have for the Divine Feminine Collective. All that I love is more important to me than all that I fear. This is beautiful. This is a reminder of, strength, of power, of the abundance. It's important to love everything that you have accomplished and who you are for yourself, within yourself, and also, of course, around you. Appreciate other people who are there, who support you no matter what, and also that everything else in life, I don't know, roof above your head, the clothes that you're wearing, everything, whatever applies to you, that is available in your life. Like for me, for example, one example could be that I'm grateful for the dance lessons, dance teachers that I have, being able to experience dance in New York. It's one of the big dance hubs in the world, one of the biggest in the world. And I have a privilege of dancing here and learning and being inspired by all these great dancers, coaches, performers, everyone, right? And I'm grateful for that. Masculines, it's safe to ask for help. People want to support me. Yeah, this is the classic of like having trouble asking for help. And this, of course, usually goes back to childhood, where for one or another reason you didn't feel comfortable. Like somebody made you feel like your needs either aren't important or you are too much of a burden, right? Somehow you were inconvenient in your position, and you learned that you don't really deserve to ask for help, or you don't want to bother people too much to be a burden for them, right? But the reality is that, you know, sometimes, first of all, we do need help, and we don't need to figure everything out by ourselves. But also it's a skill, especially if that's somehow a block, an internal block. This is a skill that you're building, to actually be able to ask for help graciously, you know, with kindness and compassion, with gratitude, but also without feeling like now you owe something to this person. And being able to receive, that's a big part of it. That's one of the ways that you can learn how to receive. We talk about it quite a lot in the spiritual world, of having skills to give and to receive the love, the energy, generally anything, any kind of resources, right? Not everybody is good at it. So this is part of how you can learn that skill. I'm going to use the Celtic Tarot deck today. Haven't used it for a while. I actually took it with me to Guatemala. Delivered one reading. But I'm still glad I did it. It's such a beautiful deck. And it definitely speaks to me on levels more than one, I would say. The sun at the bottom of the deck. Beautiful card. I actually also had this. We had this stag message in the daily messages, oracle messages, I think yesterday. Could be the day before. I kind of lost the days a little bit, probably over the weekend, where it said that those antlers are also the protection, you know? It's like almost like a divine protection is with you. You have that halo, and it's like you are protected, you are safe. Okay, let's get some clarifiers. Nine of Cups. Yeah, you should feel safe to follow your dream, to make a wish, and to confidently take the action towards it. Even if it feels like, you know, it's not important enough, or it's not practical enough, or whatever. Like you have lots of things on your plate, and that is kind of like on the side. No, this is like, pay attention to it. It's going to be more important to you than you think. And it will end up being a lot more practical and important and like specific things in life than you think. Feminines, your energy is the Hermit, clarified by 10 of Cups. Yeah, a lot of times we seek for emotional fulfillment and for the joy on the outside, whether it's the weather or I don't know, interior design of our living space or people around us. We kind of like have those expectations there, that those are supposed to lift our spirits or to keep us in a good mood or whatever, right? But the truth is that that source of joy and of light is within you, and this should be your main source to draw upon whenever you need it, right? And almost like not even to need to kind of like go and do that on purpose, because it's already there. It's supposed to be, you know, available for you at any time. I'm not saying that we are never supposed to like be down or have a bad day, but essentially it shouldn't be like a special effort that you're making, right? Because it's available to you. And this is like a deeper path that the feminines are going into, also finding out that this source of light and love is always there, regardless of the situation on the outside. For the masculines, we see Three of Pentacles clarified by the Tower. Look at all this major arcana. Wow. For the masculines, I feel like there is some kind of a project that doesn't go according to plan. And it's like you thought that, you know, you planned out everything, people, budget, you know, the timeline for it, whatever it was. And then suddenly it's like, well, one of the people is actually not qualified to do what you're asking them to do. The other person changed their mind and they took their money and just left, right? And then now you're doing like not just your job, but also jobs of other people here because they just bailed, basically, right? Maybe in their mind they had a good reason for it, but at the end of the day, that's where you end up. And again, it may feel devastating at first, but it's also showing you how much power you have. It also reminds you that it doesn't mean that doing everything by yourself is the only way to get out of this mess, right? You can still ask for help. You can involve the right people. Okay, it didn't work out with these people. It doesn't mean that it will be the same story with everybody else and you just can't work with people anymore, right? No, just need to find somebody else and maybe ask more questions this time. And maybe, I don't know, add extra terms to your agreement, to your contract with them, so that it's not as easy to just walk away one day, right? But it is kind of like that dramatic moment right now where there's more overwhelming anxiety than the capacity to kind of sit down and see it in a more rational space and be able to find an alternative solution. Additional question for today. The Magician and another Three of Pentacles. What are we creating? These are very similar energies, by the way. This is the major arcana, this is the minor. The main difference is that this includes other people, right? We're used to thinking the Three of Pentacles as several people working together, right? So this is like the, how do I say this? There's always going between like, what can I do versus what the divine is, how my skills playing into the whole project implementation. It could be personal or professional, doesn't matter. Like there are different ingredients to it, where it's specific people pulling in their efforts and where there is like divine intervention into all of this. What do the feminines need to know about this? So essentially it's about how do you get to a successful accomplishment of whatever goal you're setting for yourself, right? Because I said project, but I mean, of course, it maybe you're just building a new skill. Maybe you want to lose some weight. You know, it doesn't have to be like a project, but I'm just saying it that because, you know, for the sake of a better term, because it's more abstract and it can involve anything. Feminines, you have Ace of Wands clarified by Four of Pentacles. Yeah, it is about acknowledging all the resources you have, and that's part of what the Magician does, right? Because the Magician has all four elements, and they're supposed to make use of all four. Not just, for example, like maybe this Magician is better with Pentacles and like, you know, rationale and kind of like planning the budget, or the other masculine is has more fiery energy and just gets excited and gets lots of things done just because they're driven in this moment for this specific thing, right? Like you can't just like stick with the stuff that you know well and ignore the other stuff. Part of the mastery is to be able to utilize different skills, like the whole spectrum of the elements of the energies available to you, right? And not hold back and not just stay in the comfort zone of like, this is how I do stuff. This is who I am and this is how I'm going to continue doing them for the rest of my life. No, it's about learning and it's about expanding your mastery, because we are magicians as light workers, as twin flames, and we are supposed to have that mastery. For the masculines, Queen of Wands clarified by Death. I don't think I've actually seen this Queen of Wands in this deck. Wow, a little bit of a Halloween vibe, actually. Yeah, for the masculines, a lot of this is connected with unlearning what they've learned before. And for some of them, it could be specifically around the feminine figures, like a mother figure, maybe a sibling, maybe a past romantic partner, or could even be a business partner. But there's something there about like, oh, this is what women do, or, you know, this is how the female mind operates, right? And this is the way to kind of like manipulate or like get what you want from a female partner, for example, right? Like something along those lines. And this is what the masculines are unlearning now, because it creates extra fog and uncertainty in the overall project, right? It's kind of like when you're paying attention to the wrong things, you know? And I'm not saying that this is completely ungrounded or untrue, because obviously it's based on the previous experience. But the big part of the current project is not about just kind of like trying to avoid getting hurt or slammed or let down in some shape or form, right? There are different objectives here. Again, growing your mastery, working with different elements, working with various people. It's not about saying like, since this hasn't worked before, I'm never doing this again, right? There are some kind of closures to those past patterns and past scenarios and how masculines would generally approach similar situations, especially if the feminines are involved. So on the back of it, if we kind of like step out of it, there is a learning process around interaction with the feminine energy, right? Removing stereotypes and stigmas on like, oh, this is just how the feminines operate, right? So, and it might seem kind of innocent because this is not necessarily a romantic situation, right? But it's actually impacting it on all levels, and it will eventually have a big impact on the dynamic between the twin flames, the masculine and the feminine, how they see their feminine. Okay, how would the feminine see the connection at this time? The Devil, clarified by King of Wands. Yeah, so feminines see that the masculine sign, this player energy, playful energy, kind of like trying to make the most out of their looks, their skills, the way they talk, you know, like they're charmers. Let's just be honest. Divine masculines know their way around both, actually, women and men. I was gonna say around women, but it is both, right? And so feminines are seeing them in this light of like just enjoying you know, the fruits of all those things that they and being good with like getting their way or getting their message across, right? Pleasing people in a way that, you know, they get where they want to get to. And there's a lot of ego there for sure. There is definitely a desire to prove themselves, I mean for the masculines, to prove themselves and to get to a certain level, you know, in society, right? It's not so, what they're doing is kind of like pleasing their ego, but it doesn't justify really the, you know, the energy itself isn't high vibe, isn't clear enough for this to feel like it's an aligned path. Even if it looks good on paper, of kind of like, yeah, but I'm setting goals for myself and I'm accomplishing these goals, right? So it's good. But the feminines can see how much still there is limitation, there is manipulation, and there is a desire to be on top of the world on the masculine side. Wow. For the feminine, how the masculine see the connection, we see the King of Cups clarified by the Empress. Well, I mean, masculines can see how much they've grown in terms of not getting triggered by the feminines, not getting too infatuated with the feminines. Because part of the stories that a lot of the masculines are telling themselves or telling their friends of like, you know, that I just can't resist this woman, let's say, for the sake of the conversation. It doesn't have to be a woman, of course. I can't resist this woman, you know. It's just like, there's, you know, and part of the whole story of the storytelling around witchcraft or women being witches, it was partly around this kind of like the charming side that the males, like the men could not avoid, could not get away from, you know, couldn't help it, you know. And then the whole story of like females manipulating males, right? So masculines understand that there is a much better synergy between, like, within their feminine energy, with the feminine energy within, but also between them and the divine feminine, right? But there is still misalignment here because King of Cups and the Empress aren't an ideal couple, so they can see some disconnect. And this could be definitely a separate reading altogether where there is still some misalignment there, right? And it's not just on the masculine side, even though it seems like, you know, the Empress is essentially the queen of all queens. So the Empress is kind of like on a higher level than the King. But it's not as black and white as that. Masculines just see, they definitely see that there's still room for improvement for the both. For this to be more in alignment, for twins to understand each other better. But it's definitely a big progress, and that's something that I feel for masculines who are watching, it's important to, you know, tap yourself on the shoulder and congratulate yourself and maybe even celebrate that how far you've come, you know, and how at this point you're able to see the value, the beauty of your feminine without getting triggered, without feeling like it's some kind of witchcraft and manipulation, for the lack of a better word. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I love you all, and until next time,